Okay, so how did this Family Guy character go from this to this?
What, how the hell are you alive?
And thinking about it, how the hell did he manage to father a kid?
He's gonna be a new character on the show. You're barely a character on the show. More than Woody!
I'm going to be answering most of these questions today. And yes, I really did dedicate an entire video to a secondary character who has sticks for limbs. But you know what? I do think that Seamus is underrated. He's funny, and his cameos, although brief, are always good for a laugh, even if those around him don't necessarily appreciate his nautical jokes.
Did you use the jokes?
Yeah, they're not landing.
Anyway, let's set sail and embark on the voyage of Seamus Levine's life, for this is his complete timeline. How Seamus lost his limbs. Remember in The Dark Knight when the Joker kept changing the origin story of his scars? Well, he totally stole that shtick from Seamus, who has always changed the story of his missing parts. In a season 18 flashback set in the 90s, we see a younger Seamus with all 4 limbs. Chris even questioned the fact that Seamus had limbs at all, since there's been multiple versions of his stories where he was born without them.
Wait, Seamus had arms and legs?
But moving swiftly on, this flashback implies that he lost his limbs at the Sharkbite Cove he intended to go to with Lois, which is probably where he also lost his sight in his right eye. But this contradicts his very first story, which he told in his debut episode.
Your father was a tree.
And then 6 seasons later, in the season 9 premiere, we find out that perhaps Seamus was James Woods' very own Pinocchio, who he made out of wood in order for him to become a real boy.
But he didn't wish hard enough. It only worked on me head.
But the real story here, or so he says, was that one night they dropped too much acid, and James Woods thought that Seamus was steak and decided to eat his arms and legs. Yeah. But we already know that Seamus likes to embellish his stories, so we may never actually know the true origin of his missing limbs. But what we do know is that he definitely poops acorns. While the origin of Seamus' legs will likely change again in the future, something that definitely won't change is NordVPN keeping you safe and secure online. And yes, that is my 100% smooth and seamless transition into this video sponsor, NordVPN. Basically, NordVPN hides your IP address from snoopers, and it protects you by blocking malware and intrusive tracking. And what's really great is that with only one account, you can use it on up to 6 devices. So I have it on mine and my husband's phones, as well as both of our PCs. NordVPN is also great for unblocking hundreds of shows and movies not available in your country. For example, the other day I was really in the mood to watch some Jurassic Park, but it wasn't available on my UK Netflix, but I did find out that it was available in Germany's. So right here is a recording from my phone screen, and as you can see, I don't have Jurassic Park on my Netflix account. So all I have to do is go into my NordVPN app, switch over to a German server, and then just log right back into Netflix, and up comes Jurassic Park. Go to nordvpn.com/timelines to get an exclusive deal with 4 months for free on a 2-year plan. And NordVPN is completely risk-free too, with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Seamus and Family Guy. Seamus Levine made his Family Guy debut in Season 3's 10th episode of Fish Out of Water, and in the episode, Peter decides to become a fisherman for a new lease on life. He pays $50,000 for a boat and names it the SS, more powerful than Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, and the Incredible Hulk put together. But as soon as he buys it, Seamus is there with a warning that it's a cursed boat. He explains that its previous captain, called Salty, was devoured by a man-eating bluefish called Daggermouth. And how does Peter respond?
Are you up for bids too? You are just precious.
Later on, Peter realizes that he needs money to pay for his house, so he and his friends decide to hunt for the Daggermouth in order to get its $50,000 reward. And yet again, Seamus is there with another warning.
Daggermouth is the meanest, most ruthless creature that's ever inhabited the sea.
And as impressive as the Daggermouth was, it actually turns out to be an animatronic created by Salty himself. You see, Salty faked his own death and made up the Daggermouth legend to make money off its merchandise potential. And we only hope that one day Seamus learns of this truth so he and his friends can reunite once more. By the middle of season 4, Seamus became a reoccurring character, and it's at this point in the series where Peter was actually a fisherman prior to his work at the Pawtucket Brewing Company. But when he's unable to haul in enough fish to feed his family, Seamus tells him all about Pelican's Reef, a place of countless fish waiting to be caught, but this recommendation came with another warning, that all those that have attempted to visit the reef have mysteriously vanished, never to be seen again.
No one has ever come back, I guess would be the central theme of what I'm trying to get across here.
Unfortunately, Seamus's warning came true when the gang were shipwrecked during a thunderstorm. But luckily the gang were ultimately saved by inflating sex dolls, and it's here where Peter ate Joe's legs. Thus opening up the true travesty, the fact that Joe got brand new legs when Seamus only got stuck with peg legs. Oh, the woes of being a secondary character. In fact, Seamus was probably super impressed by Peter and his friends and how they survived the trip to Pelican's Reef, which could reason why he pines to hang out with them so much.
No, not you, Seamus.
Ah, poo.
And it has to be this moment that sums up Seamus' status as a secondary character in Family Guy. Funny enough to randomly pop in, but way too much of a one-note character to be anything more than. Seamus' family and his love life. While we know that Seamus tried to get with Lois back in the 90s, it seems that he's still seeking his one true companion. And my god, he's tried. Sometimes with people and other times with objects.
Peter, I'm interested in the redhead with the wooden arms and legs over there. You think you could introduce me?
That's a table, Seamus.
In season 15, we find out that Seamus was actually gonna go to the Quahog High School homecoming dance with Chris Griffin. First there was Herbert, and now there's Seamus. What the hell is it with these old men liking Chris? But it seems that Chris was actually fine with going to the dance with Seamus, until he was replaced by none other than Taylor freaking Swift. And when Chris finally broke the news to Seamus, he played it cool, but he was internally heartbroken.
Take it out. I'm ugly and unlovable.
Oh, poor Seamus. I think. But not to worry, in the very next season, he started a more appropriate relationship with Chris's sister Meg, I think. However, it wasn't love at first sight, as the very first time that Seamus met Meg, he mistook her for a sea mammal.
That's what we call a manatee, boys. Or in nautical slang, the sea cow.
However, a whole 12 seasons later, Seamus finally began developing feelings for her. Now by this point, Meg is 18, but it is still kinda creepy. We learn about these feelings in the episode Follow the Money, when the valuable dollar bill that Peter Schmidt gave to Chris finally happens to land in Seamus' hands, or pegs. He writes his phone number on the bill for Meg, but instead the dollar goes on an epic adventure through Quahog, where it eventually ends up right back with Seamus.
Oh, my dollar. I guess Meg didn't care.
But as it turns out, Meg did collect his number by storing it on her phone. Yes, Seamus, she lives in the 21st century. They even end up going on a date together to the Quahog Supper Club. Now, we don't really know what happened between them afterwards, but whatever it was, I guess it just didn't work out too much. Besides, I couldn't really imagine how it would work, seeing as he's 85% wood. But even still, that didn't stop him from fathering a child. In season 18, we find out that Seamus has a son called Woody, who also has pegs for limbs.
Classic Woody. This is Woody.
Seamus's other hobbies. Seamus may just seem like a sailor married to the sea, but he still gives himself enough time to pursue other interests. He plays the church organ, reports the news on TV, and does a bit of stand-up too. But I feel that Seamus yearns for more in life, especially a friendship with Peter.
These poster jokes doing anything for you?
Hit and miss.
We should hang out more.
And whenever Peter is having a terrible day, it's Seamus who offers to help him with anything, and I mean anything. Peter even takes him up on this kind gesture and demands his car, until Seamus retracts the offer. That's some quick deleting skills, mate. You did well there. Still, it does go to show that he wants to hang out with Peter and his friends just a little bit more. And maybe this poor guy just wants to be a main player. I mean, who wouldn't want him as a friend? I hear he's very handy in reminding people to get their prostate checked.
You just carry a picture of a diseased prostate around with you?
Seamus the screenwriter. One of my favourite newest running gags on the show is Seamus's dream of becoming a screenplay writer.
This is screenwriting software. You've probably never seen it before.
In season 20, Brian pretends to be Quagmire's dog in order to impress the woman he's dating, and when it all blows up in his face, Brian only gloats. So Quagmire swears revenge on the pooch in the form of Seamus reading Brian his 430-page script for Ocean's 1.
Quagmire!
This joke was even carried over into the next season. At the end of the episode Carney Knowledge, Peter suddenly announces that he was gonna go to sea to hunt the orchard fish who killed his pappy, with it then being revealed that it was Seamus who was the one that wrote the script for this episode. His screenplay Carney Knowledge even won him an Oscar at the Academy Awards, and he was elated until a certain Will Smith came along. Poor Seamus. Even then he couldn't have his big moment. But there you have it, that is the complete timeline of Seamus so far. A character who has had plenty of memorable moments, yet still has so much more potential for great jokes and stories in the future of Family Guy. Do let me know in the comments your favourite Seamus moment, and I'll see you in the next one.